Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday for February. I know I shared yesterday a little bit about kind of the message from the church. Today, I was going to share a little bit about a quiet time I had. I just started reading through First Samuel. One of the things I really love about First and Second Samuel, and then kind of the chronicling of David is just and the other kings is really just this idea of leadership. I feel like that there is a theme of when there are strong leaders following God, then the entire nation of Israel does well. And when there are not strong leaders, the entire nation struggles. And so, I love just sort of reading through and kind of looking at, how did these people lead and what did they do? And, one of the things about Samuel is, he is born to a mom who had been barren for many years. And so she had promised that if God gave her a son, that she would dedicate him to service. She does all that. She's blessed even more and has more kids. But in First Samuel chapter 3, it's the instance where Samuel is growing and he's learning under Eli, the head priest, but he's and Eli and his sons are kind of off the rails, and Eli won't confront them. And so there's this evening where they're all kind of still in the temple, and Samuel hears God's voice calling to him, and three times he gets up and he kind of runs over to Eli and he says, "Oh, what do you need? You called me." And Eli each time says, "I didn't call you." And on the third time, Eli realizes that it's God that's speaking to Samuel, and so he tells Samuel, "Go back, and if you hear God again, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" One of the things I really like about that is just this idea that God is constantly speaking to us, um, but a lot of times we don't hear it, or we don't understand it, or we just don't even realize that He's calling us. And sometimes it takes a mentor or a spiritual authority to kind of sometimes help us take a step back and realize, hey, there's something going on that you're just not catching. You're just not really kind of getting it. And so I think that's really what Eli does for Samuel. And then Samuel shows sort of his character, because what God then tells him is basically a judgment upon Eli and both of his sons. And and Samuel hears this vision. The next morning, Eli says, "Tell me everything, and it'll be very harsh for you if you leave anything out." And so, while it would have been much easier and much simpler and probably much more comfortable for Samuel to simply say, "Well, God said, you guys need to straighten up your act," he doesn't. He just lays everything out, says everything that God told him, and Eli kind of just accepts it and says, okay, God has spoken here. So I think that shows some of Samuel's character. He's a young man. I mean, I don't remember exactly his age, but he's clearly not like a full-grown adult, but yet he's still willing to speak the truth that God spoke to him to the person who's his spiritual mentor. So in many ways, I think that shows Samuel's character, and you will see that throughout, where he is not afraid to speak to power. He does it um, to not so, to the first king, and then to David as well. And so he just kind of goes through this. He is not afraid to do that, and I think that's just a great example that even when you're not the king, when you're not the leader, you have a responsibility to speak truth in love. And I think that Samuel is a great example of that. All right, so I'm going to challenge you again. If you listen to this all the way to the end, type a comment in or something. Just say, "Hey, I listened," etc. Just checking to see who, if anyone, is actually watching these videos. All right, talk to you later. Love you all.